Imagine yourself in a dimly lit palace, where the air is thick with the scent of jasmine and sandalwood. A clever young woman whispers tales of genies bursting from lamps, thieves hiding in shadowy caves, and sailors battling monstrous waves, all to outwit a king and save her life. Welcome to the enchanting world of 1001 Nights, also known as Arabian Nights, a collection of stories that has captivated hearts for centuries. If you're settling in for this journey with me, drop a comment below, letting me know where you're watching from and what time it is there right now. Maybe it's midnight in a bustling city, or dawn in a quiet village. And if you enjoy diving into timeless tales like these, hit that subscribe button so you never miss an adventure. These stories begin with a frame that holds everything together, like a golden thread woven through a vast tapestry. Picture a powerful king named Shahryar, ruling over lands stretching from Persia to India. Betrayed by his queen's infidelity and then learning his brother's wife was unfaithful too, Shahryar's heart turns to stone. In his rage, he vows to marry a new virgin each day and execute her at dawn, ensuring no woman can ever betray him again. Hundreds of young women meet this grim fate until the kingdom runs low on brides. That's when Scheherazade steps forward. She's the daughter of the king's vizier, a wise and learned woman who's devoured books on history, poetry, philosophy, and the arts. Against her father's pleas, she volunteers to marry the king, not out of despair, but with a plan as intricate as the patterns on a Persian rug. On their wedding night, Scheherazade asks her sister Dunyazad to join them, and as the king listens, she begins a tale. But as dawn approaches, she stops at the most thrilling moment, a cliffhanger that leaves the king desperate to know what happens next. He spares her life for one more day. Night after night, this continues for 1001 nights. Scheherazade spins stories within stories, nesting them like jewels in a chest, each one full of magic, adventure, and wisdom. By the end, the king has softened, fallen in love with her cleverness and kindness, and they have children together. He pardons her, and the cycle of death ends. This frame isn't just a clever trick. It ties the entire collection together, showing how storytelling can heal wounds, change fates, and reveal the depths of the human soul. It's a reminder that words have power to save lives, to entertain, and to teach. These tales didn't spring from one place or time. They're a mosaic gathered from across vast regions. Originating in the oral traditions of the Middle East, Persia, and India, they were passed down by storytellers in bustling markets, cozy caravanserais, and royal courts long before they were ever written down. Imagine nomadic traders sharing them around campfires under starry skies, or professional narrators captivating audiences in the streets of Baghdad during the Islamic Golden Age. Each retelling added layers, Persian motifs of fate and destiny, Indian elements of reincarnation and karma, Arabic flavors of hospitality and justice. It wasn't until medieval times, around the 8th to 14th centuries, that they were compiled into manuscripts, like the famous Syrian version from the 14th century. Even then, the collection grew, with European translators like Antoine Galland in the 1700s adding stories he'd heard from Syrian storytellers, blending cultures into something timeless. Let's slip into one of the most beloved tales Scheherazade might tell, the story of Aladdin and his wonderful lamp. In a far-off city in China, though the tale feels rooted in the bustling souks of the Middle East, lives a young man named Aladdin, a street-smart but lazy lad, who spends his days playing pranks and avoiding work. His father, a humble tailor, has passed away, leaving Aladdin and his mother in poverty. One day, a mysterious sorcerer from the distant lands of the Maghreb arrives, claiming to be Aladdin's long-lost uncle. With smooth words and promises of riches, he lures Aladdin into a scheme. They journey to a hidden cave in the desert, its entrance guarded by ancient magic. The sorcerer gives Aladdin a ring for protection and sends him inside to fetch an old oil lamp, warning him not to touch the glittering treasures that line the walls. Aladdin descends into the cave, where the air shimmers with the glow of jewels and gold, like stars fallen to earth. He grabs the lamp, but as he climbs back, the sorcerer demands it immediately. Suspicious, Aladdin refuses until he's safely out, and in a fury, the sorcerer seals the cave with a thunderous spell, trapping him inside. Desperate, Aladdin rubs the ring on his finger, and poof! A genie appears, a swirling mist of power bound to the ring. This lesser spirit frees Aladdin, who returns home with the lamp tucked away. Back in their modest hut, Aladdin's mother polishes the dusty lamp to sell it, and suddenly a massive genie erupts forth, towering like a storm cloud, ready to grant any wish. Aladdin, wide-eyed, asks for food, and a feast appears. Roasted meats, fresh fruits, and sweets dripping with honey. From there, his life transforms. He wishes for wealth, and silver platters overflow with coins. But Aladdin's heart is set on something more. The beautiful Princess Badrulbadur, daughter of the Sultan, whom he spies bathing in the palace gardens, her skin like polished ivory, and her eyes sparkling like diamonds. With the genie's help, Aladdin sends gifts to the Sultan, 40 slaves carrying trays of jewels, and wins permission to marry the princess. The genie builds a palace overnight, a marvel of marble halls, golden domes, and gardens blooming with eternal flowers. But the sorcerer returns, hearing of Aladdin's fortune. Disguised as a lamp merchant, he tricks the princess into trading the old lamp for a new one while Aladdin is away hunting. In an instant, the sorcerer commands the genie to whisk the palace, princess and all, to his homeland in Africa. Aladdin, heartbroken, remembers the ring and summons its genie, who carries him across deserts and seas to the palace. There, he and the princess plot together. She drugs the sorcerer with wine laced with a sleeping powder, and Aladdin seizes the lamp, slaying the villain with a swift strike. But danger lurks again. The sorcerer's even more wicked brother disguises himself as a holy woman and infiltrates the palace. Warned by the lamp's genie, Aladdin unmasks and defeats him too. Finally, peace reigns. Aladdin becomes Sultan, ruling wisely, his story a testament to how cleverness and a touch of magic can turn rags to riches, and how love conquers deceit. Themes like this weave through all the nights. Fate twisting like a serpent, justice prevailing through wit, and magic lurking in everyday objects. In Aladdin's tale, we see the motif of enchanted items, like the lamp and ring, symbols of hidden power that reflect the unpredictable world of the storytellers, where a simple fisherman might stumble upon a genie or a woodcutter uncover a treasure. Speaking of woodcutters, let's venture into the shadowy forests with Ali Baba and the 40 Thieves. Ali Baba is a simple man, chopping wood day after day to feed his family, while his greedy brother Qasim lives in luxury, married to a wealthy woman. One afternoon, as Ali Baba rests in the woods, he hears hooves thundering and hides in the bushes. A band of 40 thieves approaches a rocky cliff, their leader barking, "Open sesame!" The rock splits open, revealing a cave stuffed with glittering gold, silks, and jewels, booty from raids across the lands. Once the thieves depart, Ali Baba whispers the words himself and slips inside, filling his sacks with just enough coins to change his life without drawing suspicion. He returns home, and his clever wife borrows scales from Qasim's wife to weigh the gold. But Qasim's wife, nosy and envious, coats the scales with wax, trapping a coin that reveals the secret. Qasim demands to know, and Ali Baba, ever honest, tells him. Greed consumes Qasim. He rushes to the cave, loads his donkeys with treasure, but in his excitement forgets the closing words. Close sesame. Trapped, he's discovered by the returning thieves, who chop him into quarters and hang his body as a warning. Ali Baba finds the gruesome remains and brings them home secretly. Enter Morgiana, Qasim's sharp-witted slave girl, who becomes the hero of this tale. She blindfolds a tailor to stitch Qasim back together for burial, hiding the truth. But the thieves, realizing someone knows their secret, mark Ali Baba's door with chalk to attack at night. Morgiana spots it and marks every door in the neighborhood the same way, confusing them. Foiled again, the thieves try chipping the doorstep, but Morgiana chips all the others too. The captain, furious, disguises himself as an oil merchant with 40 jars, 39 hiding his men, one with actual oil. Ali Baba, hospitable as custom demands, invites him to stay. That night, Morgiana needs oil for a lamp and discovers the hidden thieves whispering in the jars. Quick as a fox, she boils cauldrons of oil and pours it into each jar, silencing the bandits forever. The captain flees, but later returns disguised as a merchant friend of Ali Baba's son. Morgiana recognizes him during dinner and in a daring dance with swords and veils, stabs him dead. Ali Baba frees her in gratitude, marrying her to his son, and the family prospers. The cave's treasures theirs alone. Here we see the value of cleverness shining bright. Morgiana's ingenuity saves the day, reflecting the cultural admiration for wit over brute strength in these societies. Greed dooms Qasim and the thieves, while humility and loyalty bring justice. These stories mirror the history of their tellers, the trade routes buzzing with merchants like Ali Baba, the dangers of bandits in the deserts, and the Islamic emphasis on hospitality, even to strangers. Now, let's set sail with Sinbad the sailor, whose 7 voyages are a whirlwind of peril and wonder, each one more astonishing than the last. Sinbad starts as a young man in Baghdad. Heir to a fortune, he squanders on luxuries. Broke and restless, he joins a merchant ship seeking adventure. On the first voyage, they anchor at what seems a lush island, but it's the back of a massive whale asleep on the waves. As the crew lights fires to cook, the beast awakens, diving deep and scattering them. Sinbad clings to a wooden tub, drifting to a real island where he saves a king's mare from a mythical seahorse that emerges from the depths each full moon. Grateful, the king showers him with gifts, and when his ship returns, Sinbad sells rarities for a fortune back home. But the sea calls again. On the second voyage, Sinbad is stranded on an island of giant rock birds, their eggs as big as boulders. He ties himself to a rock's leg with his turban, soaring to a valley glittering with diamonds but guarded by enormous serpents that swallow elephants whole. Merchants throw meat down, which the rocks carry up with diamonds stuck to it. Sinbad attaches himself to a slab of meat, escaping with pockets full of gems, his wealth restored. The third voyage brings horror. A shipwreck on an island, ruled by a one-eyed giant, black-skinned with tusks like a boar's and claws like a lion's. He roasts and eats the crew one by one, starting with the captain. Sinbad and survivors blind him with heated spits, fleeing on rafts, but the giant's mate hurls boulders, sinking most. Sinbad escapes a python's coils by building a wooden cage around himself, then hitches a ride on another ship home. Restlessness pulls him back for the fourth. Cannibals feed his crew a herb that addles their minds, fattening them for the feast. Sinbad abstains, escapes to a civilized island where he marries a rich woman. But custom demands the living spouse be buried alive with the dead. When she dies, Sinbad is entombed in a cave with corpses, surviving by killing newcomers for their food, until a wild animal leads him out through a hidden passage. Rescued, he returns richer than ever. The fifth voyage, pirates attack, selling Sinbad as a slave to hunt elephants for ivory. He discovers a valley of tusks, leading his master to fortune and earning freedom. But en route home, a rock drops a boulder on the ship for stealing its egg. Survivors reach an island of Old Man of the Sea, a creature that clings to Sinbad's neck, nearly killing him until he gets it drunk on wine and smashes its skull. Sixth, a storm wrecks the ship on a deadly coast where sailors starve or leap to their deaths. Sinbad builds a raft, floating down a river to a paradise city ruled by a kind king who marries him off and loads him with treasures. Seventh and final, captured by pirates again, Sinbad is forced to shoot birds for food, but accidentally kills sacred ones. Stranded on an island, he encounters a serpent devouring sailors, then hitches to Serendib, Sri Lanka, where the king sends him back to Caliph Harun al-Rashid with fabulous gifts like a ruby cup and a bed of aloe wood. Sinbad's tales, shared with a poor porter who envies him, reveal that great wealth comes from enduring fate's trials. Motifs of survival through cleverness, encounters with supernatural creatures like rocks and genies, and the sea as a gateway to the unknown echo, the real explorations of Arab sailors during the Abbasid era, trading spices and silks across oceans. Beyond these, Scheherazade weaves in gems like the fisherman and the genie. A poor fisherman casts his net 4 times. First, a dead donkey. Second, broken pots. Third, mud. On the 4th, a brass jar sealed with Solomon's stamp. He opens it, and a massive genie billows out, vowing to kill him for the centuries of imprisonment. The fisherman, quick-witted, tricks the genie back into the jar by doubting it could fit, then negotiates freedom and riches. 4 chests of colored fish that turn into treasures for the Sultan. This highlights the motif of entrapment and release, common in these nights, where fate can flip with a clever word. Then there's the 3 apples, a mystery unfolding in Baghdad. Caliph Harun al-Rashid finds a chest in the Tigris with a young woman's dismembered body. He orders his vizier Jafar to solve it in 3 days or die. Twists abound. A slave confesses to buying an apple that caused jealousy, leading to the murder. But it's revealed as a tragic misunderstanding. The woman's son stole the apple, and her husband killed her in rage, only to learn the truth. Mercy prevails, reflecting cultural values of forgiveness and the unpredictability of destiny. Venture further into the city of brass, where an expedition seeks ancient wonders. They discover a lost city of black stone, its inhabitants petrified midlife, queens mummified with eyes of mercury. Humanoid robots guard treasures, and a trapped genie begs for death after centuries of solitude. This blends history with fantasy, echoing archaeological curiosities of the time and motifs of forbidden knowledge, or The Adventures of Bulukia, a quest for immortality across seas, encountering mermaids, jinn kings, and glimpses of paradise and hell, with cosmic scales weighing good and evil deeds, a nod to Islamic beliefs in judgment. These recurring motifs, genies as both benevolent and vengeful, enchanted objects like flying carpets or magic rings, fate as a force that heroes bend through wit, make the stories endlessly engaging. Literary devices like nested narratives, where a character in one tale tells another, create layers that mirror life's complexities. Cliffhangers keep listeners hooked, just as Scheherazade hooked the king. The tales reflect the cultures that birthed them, the Islamic Golden Age's emphasis on knowledge, as seen in Scheherazade's learning, hospitality, like Ali Baba welcoming the disguised thief, justice tempered with mercy in the caliph's rulings. They draw from history. The Abbasid caliphs like Harun al-Rashid appear as characters, symbolizing an era of trade, science, and art. Values like cleverness in women, often subverting patriarchal norms, Morgiana, Scheherazade, show resilience. From Persia come ideas of destiny. From India, reincarnation echoes. From Arab lands, the vibrancy of markets and deserts. Their impact ripples through world literature and culture. Edgar Allan Poe drew from the mystery in The 3 Apples for his detective stories. Jorge Luis Borges echoed the nested tales in his labyrinthine writings. In the West, they sparked Orientalism, sometimes romanticizing the East, influencing authors like Washington Irving, and films from Disney's Aladdin to countless adaptations. Ballets, operas like Rimsky-Korsakov's Scheherazade, Even video games borrow motifs. They've shaped how we see magic realism in Latin American literature or fantasy in Tolkien's epics. Globally, they inspire retellings in African, Asian, and European folklore, proving storytelling's universal power. Let's linger on more tales to fill our night. Consider the ebony horse, where a craftsman builds a mechanical flying steed, whisking a prince to distant lands and loves, blending invention with enchantment, a precursor to steampunk fantasies. Or the tale of the hunchback, a comedy of errors. A tailor invites a hunchback to dinner who chokes on a fishbone. Thinking him dead, characters pass the body around, a doctor, a broker, a steward, each fearing blame until it's revealed he's alive, teaching about assumptions and fate's humor. Dive into the Seven Viziers, where false accusations lead to stories proving women's deceit, but countered by tales of men's folly, balancing gender themes. The Porter and the Three Ladies of Baghdad. A poor porter enters a house of mysterious women, witnessing transformations, ladies turning into animals, and must keep silent or die, exploring curiosity's dangers. Each story builds on motifs, transformation as people become birds or fish, betrayal and redemption, the supernatural intersecting daily life like gin in markets. Reflecting history, these tales capture the Silk Road's exchanges, spices, ideas, myths flowing between East and West. Values like charity shine. Sinbad gives alms after each voyage. The oral roots mean variations abound. Aladdin wasn't in original manuscripts but added later, yet it fits seamlessly. Their cultural footprint. In India, Bollywood films retell Sinbad. In Europe, Goethe praised them. In America, they influenced Twain's adventures. Even psychology. Freud saw archetypes in the dreams and desires woven here. As we wander deeper, imagine the tale of the two brothers, echoing Egyptian myths. One betrays the other, but justice restores balance through magical means. Or the magic carpet, though more a device across tales, carrying heroes over mountains and seas, symbolizing escape and wonder. To extend our relaxation, let's retell Sinbad's voyages slowly, savoring each wave and whisper of wind. And so, as the nights unfold, these stories remind us that in the quiet hours, imagination can transport us anywhere, healing and inspiring. Thank you for joining this epic journey. Sweet dreams.